I want to share some experiences that I've had recently. Not pleasant, yet the nature of my work and what I do here is not always pleasant. The nature of my work is to help people find balance, which means sitting in the face of imbalance. Something that has happened to me very recently, and this is just one of those things that happens, and it's a pattern. A lot of the people that I've sat with for clients recently have been suffering. And when I see folks, it's not because they're at a place of peace, it's because they're at a place of imbalance and they're seeking, to whatever degree and whatever manner that they can, to find balance, to find peace. One of the things that I have seen over and over and over and over the past few days is people, generally women, but this has been happening to some of the men I've seen, people having some really awful things happen to them in life. All of the wrong things happen to them in life, and yet they continue to do the right thing. They continue to walk through life believing, thinking that they are doing the right thing. They're operating from a place of virtue, and yet it always seems to go wrong. It always seems to cause problems. This is really an example of the road to hell is paved with good intentions, no good deed goes unpunished. Those sorts of cliches, those sorts of stereotypes exist for a reason, and they exist because no good deed goes unpunished. That's a generalization, and of course there's an exception to every rule. And yet, why does this happen? Why do so many of us do the right thing, or what we feel is the right thing, and yet so much can go wrong for us? Simply put, virtue can be a vampire. Virtue can be a vampire. It's not that the things we're doing are actually right. It's because the things that we're doing from a place of virtue are what we've been taught is what's right. You're not doing anything wrong. We're not doing anything wrong. Most of the time, things are going wrong because we feel like we're doing the right thing, and then things go wrong. We can't look at us or the things that we're doing as wrong or bad or misleading. We must look at the things that we're taught as those things that are wrong and misleading. So many people that I sit with live a life of servitude. They feel they need to exert themselves and martyr themselves and simply give everything of themselves from a place of virtue, right? I'm not going to be whole. I'm not going to be validated or approved of or accepted unless I absolutely give the most of myself. And we can see this often in the American dream. You know, work hard, work hard, work hard, work yourself to the bone, and then that's when we get success. There is no virtue in suffering. There is no virtue in giving so much of ourselves that we suffer. I want to take this opportunity to remind folks of a principle that I like to live by as best I can. And, you know, we got to be careful with our ideals because ideals are a form of perfectionism that are very hard to reach, right? We can't reach perfect. We can't reach the ideals, and yet we strive for them. So here's a principle or an ideal I'd like to share with you. Again, you might have heard this before from me, but today's a good reminder. We must serve ourselves, but not at the expense of others, and we must serve others, not at the expense of ourselves. That's difficult. Most of us in this world are serving ourselves, but not taking from others, not oppressing or hindering others as best we can, right? Not intentionally anyways. And yet, many of us are serving others at our own expense because that's what we've been taught to do, right? 99% of my clients are women. 99% of the problems that they face are men. Their brothers, their husbands, their fathers, just men. Part of the reason why, there's so many different reasons why, right? Yet there is this issue, and I know a lot of people can see it. It's a generalization again. Remember, there's exceptions to every rule and exceptions to every generalization, but yet women are far more mature than men. And men, generally speaking, don't mature until they're about 40, 45 years old. In our modern world and in our culture, the reason why this is because women are initiated and inducted, introduced into adulthood by the nature of their very biological cycle. When a woman starts to have periods, they'll have, hopefully, women around them explaining to them what happens, and yet that's that milestone, that's that initiation. By the nature of their very biological cycle, they become women. Unfortunately, with our culture and our society, when that happens to women, they also are dealing with, well, you're a woman now, and the unseen part of that is, well, here's how you serve people. Here's how you're a better sister, sibling. Here's how you're a better child. Here's how you're a better wife, mother, servant, what have you. Men don't have initiation into adulthood. Sadly, trauma, grief, pain, loss of parents, those sorts of things will induct or initiate a man into adulthood. Generally speaking, by the time they're 40, 45, the world has rejected their bullshit, right? And it's often the men who have to have divorces and lose their families and lose their wives or lose their partners, where they have to have that initiation or adjustment and go, whoa, the things that I was believing, the things that I was seeing aren't right. Sadly, men, until again, they're about 40, 45, they will be petty and selfish and greedy. They won't take feedback. They won't take criticism. Everything is everybody else's fault. Part of this is the virtue, right? And again, generally speaking, women and men have different virtues set upon them. Be careful of what ideals you are adhering to, and be careful of how those ideals have been woven into the very fabric of your consciousness, the very fabric of your personality and your spirit and your life, by the society that has raised you. This is a son of a bitch for most of us, right? Because we do have to take care of our families. We do have to take care of our loved ones and be present in our community and do our damnedest to take care of all that is which is important. And as a member of this world, we got a responsibility to at least not make it worse if we can't make it better, right? Careful of the ideals. Careful of the virtues to which you are adhering and seeking to achieve, because those virtues can be a vampire. Those virtues can absolutely hinder us and remove us from our dignity, from our well-being. And virtues, unfortunately, can turn us into a doormat, right? The public education that we get. Follow the rules, stay in line, get along to get along. Those virtues that were taught there, right? Those virtues can absolutely cage us and drain us. We get it from religion, we get it from politics, we get it from our very culture. Sadly, the three names that have messed us up the greatest in this world, in my opinion: Jesus, Santa, Cinderella. Jesus, well, the word of Jesus we can adhere to, that love and selflessness and charity and the golden rule. Jesus, the name of Jesus, has certainly been weaponized. Do what we say or you end up in hell. Santa, do what we say, be a good kid and you'll get your presents. Cinderella, suffer, scrub the floors, be as beautiful as you can, and then you'll get your Prince Charming. We are all given so many carrots dangled in front of us that sadly are presented as virtues. Virtues of martyrdom, virtues of selflessness, virtues of giving so much of ourselves that we blow our life up and everything goes wrong. Be mindful of the virtues and be mindful of those ideals of which you're trying to achieve and which the world has given you. And how do you know what virtues aren't the best? Well, what would you tell your kid to do with those virtues if they were seeking those? You know, I meet so many people that are absolutely exerting themselves for the lives and the well-being of people who don't give a shit about them. They would never have their children do that. For instance, the relationship test that I give people, the spirit relationship test is this. If you're in a relationship with somebody, husband, wife, partner, if you're in a relationship with your mechanic or your accountant, would you be happy for a child to be in that relationship? The answer is either going to be yes or no. And if you're walking through relationships or situations that you would never have anybody ever walk through or endure, that means the virtues to which you're adhering are not healthy, they're misplaced, and somebody, somewhere, something has taught you those to take from you, to compromise your well-being, to control you, to hinder you, to cage you. Break free of the cage that's been created for you. Break free from the virtues that can certainly be vampires in our life. Take care of yourself. Be careful.